Good morning out there. This is Pastor Johnny Lucio with Second Chance Ministry of Georgia. Just want to share a little bit. I don't want to focus too much right now on the negative side of my life, but I do want to share with you a little bit about why I do what I do. Growing up in a small town in Texas where I got bullied and abused, things like that in school. Uh, Even at one time, the teachers um, said I had to translate and help this guy from Mexico to be able to get his work done. When my language, my Spanish language, wasn't, I couldn't communicate with him. I tried, and so next thing you know, they passed him. I failed, and so I had a lot of angry issues with people from other countries at a young age. I don't now. I mean, things change, but uh, a lot of times we think it's prejudice because uh, blacks or whites or whatever, but it ain't all that. It ain't always just that. It is people from different countries, different, just because they're different. Uh, Sometimes people are handicapped and people pick on them because they're easy targets or whatever. But anyhow, so I went through that and then couldn't tell my parents, things. Every time I tried to tell my dad something, he'd get angry and act like it's my fault and things like that. So I really had to live a double life from an early age and go to school, be scared of everything, wondering who's going to hit you next or pick on you next or whatever, and then get home and act like everything was good. And then, of course, as we got older, teenage years, my dad left. So now I had to jump from being a teenager to being the man of the house and help my mom take care of 5 brothers and sisters. So, you know, I did that for a couple of years, 3 years or so. If it wasn't for a guy named Richard Beatty, uh, that he took me in, and he was like a father figure to me. He was my boss, but he was more like a father figure to me. I still stay in touch with Richard. It had been many years that I'd lost track, but I was able to see him about 2 years ago, and he's invested in this ministry, and it's just it's awesome that there are people out there that will take the time to care for someone that isn't theirs. Then I got married and everything, after I got out of Texas, became a truck driver, been doing that for 27 years. And got married. My first wife passed away in 2002. We'd been together for 11 years. That took me down a dark path again. I'd always had issues with alcohol since the age of 17. But then this took me down a darker path of drugs and that sort of stuff. So 2004, could have killed 4 people after being so angry about the death of my wife and them people just running their mouth. And I was going to kill him. And the devil just kept talking to me. And I went out. That was in the backyard. They'd come in the house. They're sitting there picking on me and everything. And all I wanted to do is just explode. So I go outside and I heard somebody say, "Dude, you're not going to do this." Well, I argued and got in the truck, and I just argued with what I thought was somebody else there. It turns out, many may not believe, but it had to be Jesus. Jesus is the one that that says you can only go to heaven, to my Father through me, and that was Jesus. And so I really feel that that night Jesus was in the truck with me, and I was talking to him, arguing with him. I think I even cussed him out a few times, but anyhow, he changed my life. He got me off drugs that night. I went from being high on drugs to being high on Jesus, and I ran for a year or so. I asked God that night. I said, "Well, I want off the drugs." He got me off the drugs. I asked him, "I need to get out of here. I need a place to go." 2 weeks later, somebody invited me to come and stay at their house for a while. It was in Mississippi, Yazoo City, Mississippi. went out there and still was messed up, lost, whatever, going through stuff. So I went out to Louisville, Kentucky on the 4th of July. Really enjoyed it. Moved out there in November of 2004, and I went to work for Elam Trucking out of Stantonville, Tennessee, where I met my dispatcher. She wasn't dispatcher at the time, but that was Kim Lee. Kim was a big role model to me, whether she knows it or not, because she wasn't just a boss, she was a friend. And there was times I needed someone just to talk to. We laugh, we joke, and she was a really great person. I really admire her still today. And I know that she's gone through some stuff with her son and her health and things like that. So still today, I really admire her. And so when I was in Kentucky, after trying different things, different relationships, ain't working, I thought, well, I'm just gonna write somebody in prison and get a relationship like that, and that way I can have someone to write to, and I don't have to be right there with them all the time. And it was so funny because I did not realize that would be the start of prison ministry for me. Because one night when she called on a Saturday evening, there was CMT was putting on a show about from mobster to prison minister. There was a story about a friend named Tom Miller. He wasn't my friend at the time, but that inspired me to do prison ministry. I told my second mom, she's my spiritual mom, I told her at the time Doris Parker is her name. Well, her name now Doris Reed, because she remarried, even though she said she would never do it again. I mean, she'd been single for a long time, and she got remarried, and it was I could see that coming too. But anyhow, whether she knows it or not, I know I've talked to her about it. But anyway, I started to just really start seeking people in the prison and talking to them and stuff like that, sending letters. And so the church in Charlestown I'll back up a little bit because I ran from God for like a year or so. And when I tried everything, one Sunday morning I was headed home and I said, God, I am just tired of running. Well, 2 hours later, 2.5 hours later, the phone rang, and it was a friend of mine I'd been dating for a little while. We were just more friends than dating, but she invited me to come to church. She said, you don't have to if you don't want to. I said, you don't understand. I have to come. And so I started going there, and I told my dispatcher, Kim, I said, there was a fight that broke out in the parking lot between some teenagers. Then the parents got mad at each other and everything. And she said, Johnny, that could have set you on gave you a bad thoughts about the church and stuff. And I said, yeah, but I gave it a second chance because you know what? I had been asked to get a haircut by a church in Texas. And so I ran. I hated people from church. I thought they were just judgmental. And so many times, a lot of them are. I mean, I've been to other churches now and looking the way I do this morning, and they just kind of look at you. The preacher might shake your hand, he might not. But anyway, we got to be different, people. We got to, you see me, a guy like myself in line, it doesn't have to be me, but I'm talking about somebody that looks like me. Man, talk to them. They're not going to rob you. Sometimes they just need someone to talk to. That's what I needed. I needed that for a long time in my life, but it just wasn't happening. Even though as a young child we went to church, and I always wanted to be something in church, but it would happen later. I didn't realize God was preparing my life so that I could reach those people that are lost like I was. But anyhow, moving around, getting ready for work. So anyhow, that led on, and I moved. I left Charlestown, Indiana, the Charlestown church there after it closed, and I moved to Georgia, where in 2008 I would wind up starting prison ministry. I got married in 2008. Just my life changed, and So I've been sober since 2004, off drugs, that is. And then a few years later, I got off the alcohol and the cigarettes and everything. So it's been over 10 years, 11 years or so since I smoked anything, since I drank. Uh, I might have had one or two somewhere in there, but anyhow, I got off of all that, and it's been a long time that I don't even desire. People can light up, drink up, whatever. It doesn't bother me. But I just want to say all that to say, hey, get off the pews, start getting out there. Like Jesus said, go out and make disciples. Romans 12 talks about renewing our mind. We have to. And that's what he's done to me, but he's doing it each and every day. Last night I had a chance to talk to a 28-year-old truck driver out here and his fiance. And we talked, and I gave him my card. I hope one day he'll call. It was just awesome just to be able to talk to people like that while you're waiting to get a shower out here at these truck stops. And that's what I do all the time, just talk to people wherever they're at. But I just want to tell you, God uses me. I struggle with reading. I struggle with spelling. I look like this. I got tattoos. I've been shot at, cut up, scarred up. But yet, I turned it over to him, and he uses me. And so, people, what I want to tell you today is that, man, you can join a team like myself, Second Chance Ministry of Georgia. Look us up. You want to help us out, donations, whatever. We are a nonprofit organization. But the most important thing is that get up and go do something. Don't just sit there. Don't just show up on Sunday thinking everything is good, man. I mean, there's more to it. Because if you really love Jesus and you really care, then, it talks in Matthew 25 about going out. When did we see you, Jesus? And laid up, homeless, hungry, thirsty, in prison. Come on now. They locked him up before he went to the cross. He was hungry, I'm sure that while he was being tortured and everything, I mean, don't you think he would have wanted something? A drink? A handout from somebody? Something. But anyway, we got to go out and reach those people. Don't worry about because they smell different, look different, talk different, even think different. Man, show them the love of Jesus Christ. What was that? Love our neighbors, And how are we going to love our neighbors? We think just because the guy's next door, well, he don't ever want to talk. It goes beyond that. Go out and serve in different ministries, not just yours. But if there's somebody out there doing something, you're not doing nothing that weekend, go help them. I mean, you don't know who you might reach while you're there. It might just be because God put them people there for you to reach out to somebody there that day. So don't think just because it's not your idea, not your plan, that you shouldn't go and help. Come on now. Get up and get motivated and get to thinking about what it really is all about. It ain't all about you. It ain't because the church ain't playing your kind of song or the preacher ain't preaching. The preacher you thought was going to preach it didn't preach that day. Keep in mind, it ain't all about you. So, people, I just want to tell you today is just love y'all and stay high on Jesus, not on the drugs. Let Jesus be your hope dealer. Don't go looking for the dope dealer, man. It's time to stop. It's time to change your life. It's time to change our minds. And like a friend of mine always says, is that stinking thinking that keeps you down. So start thinking positive. Start looking up towards the sky. Because guess what? Jesus is coming back one day to take us all home. And we may have to go through the rapture. A lot of people ask about that kind of stuff. Hey, if you're living for God, living for Christ, it doesn't matter what we got to go through. God bless.